Who's the
Yeah,
guy?
we'll start with the first pick of the day for the Ravens. Round 4, pick 124 overall. They go get edge Tavius Robinson out of the Ole Miss, former Rebel here, 6'6", 260 pounds. So certainly fits that kind of mold that the Ravens are looking for at the edge. And just so you give you some combine stats here, so official weight was 257 at the combine, 6'6", had great arm length, almost 34-inch long arms, 9 5/8 hand. There he is on the big screen there. I was seeing what DK put up. He ran a 4.66 40. Which
DK, don't get us a copyright infringement though.
At that size, is not bad. Talk about a guy 6'6", 260.
Massive, dude. He had to be one of the tallest guys in his position, right?
Oh, for sure.
If not the tallest.
I mean, that's a big guy. A guy that size, you could certainly move inside on occasion. Not just a guy who's only going to be stuck at the edge. He can certainly swing it, be shifted inside as well.
100%.
So what was your thoughts on him?
No, I was going to say that the cool thing about him, of course, while he played at Ole Miss, that's really only half of his collegiate story. And this is really what I like about him. He's a kid out of Canada, which I mentioned before is like trying to be the best at soccer while playing soccer in the United States. You're never going to get the best training, the best whatever, right? Like it's different. You're playing in Europe or South America or something of that nature where it's the number one sport. So he's traveled a lot of ground from where he started, in college, in Ontario before coming down to Ole Miss and really progressing each year from simply making appearances in 2010 to having a bit more production in 21. But in 22, when he got the opportunity to start, to show his stuff, look, man, he ended second in the FBS with 5 forced fumbles, 8 tackles for loss and 7 sacks in only 13 games. That is a productive season. And if you just watch him on tape, I mean, highlights are what they are, but if you watch him on tape, he pops.
No doubt.
He pops. Yeah. And so I like this kid because I feel like a lot of the reasons he went late was the late production, but I think the late production is justified in that he's still learning football and kind of had a bit of a late start. And to me, it's comforting to know where like Adafe had very little production, but went to a big school.
Yeah.
Like a bigger name school. This is different where he went. I mean, he ended up at Ole Miss, but, kind of came from a much different situation. But the dude had production. Say what you want. Right. And so I'm excited about this kid and what he can do. I know there was projections all over the map, but overall, I think this is a great pick at this place.
Yeah. I mean, again, everybody at this point is going to have their issues, but I look at the height and the length as a super big plus. High motor is a huge plus because typically
heavy hands.
Well, also you typically don't see busts that have a high motor.
Yeah, that's a great point because their floor's high, right? Like
exactly, because you at least know he's going to go 100 miles an hour, even if he's going the wrong way, And so typically when you see a bust, you never see a guy with a high motor. So just a guy that plays hard every single snap makes that bust potential very, very low. He's an extremely good athlete for his size and length. Now, he needs to put on some muscle. But is there any reason a guy at 6'6", 260 pounds can't add muscle when he's in an NFL program? I don't find that hard to believe. So I think he'll have the opportunity to do that. The question is, can he drop in coverage at that size? Does he have? Now, he's a good athlete, but that's still going to be something he's likely going to be asked to do, certainly with the Ravens. So we'll have to see there. But, man, as far as a guy that can get to the quarterback, he's got a high motor. You could bring him inside, rush him over one of the guards. At his size, I think this is certainly a good pickup. I will say that I was a little surprised to see some guys that were available that they decided to go, but that's just they decided to go with Tavius. Like I liked Isaiah McGuire, but it just really depends on which site or which draft expert you want to go with. You want to trust because the one I'm on right now has Tavius as the 89th overall best player and has the guy that I was hopeful they would take while on the clock who went 2 picks after. They had Isaiah McGuire as the number 132 best player. So it really, you just never know. So I'm going to trust that the Ravens scouts know what they're doing and can and know a little bit more about me in that regard. But what I saw, I watched, some tape on him, watched, of course, some highlights on him, and I'm excited to see what he's got. I love guys that play with a high motor because nothing drives you more crazy as a fan than sitting here watching a super uber talented guy loaf when it comes to effort and not make plays just because he didn't try hard enough.
100%. I mean, I couldn't agree more. And I think just to kind of go along with your point with talking about the Ravens scouting and things like that, ultimately, I think what it comes down to when you get in these later round picks, any pick, but like when you get into these situations where guys are going later, they got a little more proverbial lumps on them, right? Like a little more spots. And so you got to figure out what you can handle and what you can't. And so this is just important. And you'll hear me say this about every one of these guys, figuring out from the coaching staff what they can coach. Into a guy, what they feel confident teaching. And so, just being able to help him use his height to his advantage. His hand placement needs work, but his power rush apparently is really great. And I'm sure you saw it on tape. I saw a couple plays that he just absolutely blew up.
I'll toss you.
Right. He's got heavy hands, got, great reach. So yeah, I think overall this is a good pick and lots of potential, which is what you're doing here. So excited.
How does that affect the room? Because we talk about Owe and Ajabo and the big year that it is coming up for them. Bowser another year removed from the knee injury.
I think it's fun. I think this is fun. You know what this room? So this room reminds me. I'm not saying that these guys are going to be those players. You remember the young core that Pittsburgh had at wide receiver? Who did they have? They had Wallace. They had Brown. They had Holmes. I feel like I feel like I'm even missing a name, but I think it's what I'm trying to say is that I think you get a lot of synergy when you got a young group of guys.
Yeah.
And they're all trying to figure it out together. And so I'm hopeful they can feed off each other. And just like you said, have a ton of energy.
Yeah.
Use their athleticism, use their youth to their advantage and just get after it. Like that gets me excited when you got some young guys in there and Bowser, of course, being the vet, holding it down. So I feel good about the group. Yeah. Okay. And Emmanuel Sanders. See, I knew I forgot a guy.
There you go. Oh, yeah. There you go. All right, cool. So I think we're both, satisfied with that pick. Yeah. They need to address the edge position. I keep hearing that, everybody's pretty much sold on the fact that Houston's going to return here. Well, we did see Calais Campbell leave and go to Atlanta. So I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that they'll get him back. So I'm glad that they continue to, bolster that position.
What is up, Ravens Flock? Huge shout out for your support for the 410 Sports Talk. Chance and Glenn are the best in the business. They're killing it right now. They love talking Raven talk. Make sure you go subscribe to their channel. Let's go Ravens. Big trust.